Hi there, welcome back to Classical Coffee. This is day 2, and today we're actually going to get a chance to talk by the miracle of modern technology with our special guest, Steve March Torme. Now, Steve has a very active career as a singer and as a radio personality. Of course, he's the son of Mel Torme, and he's also the stepson of Hal March. So he's had a very active life in show business ever since he was very, very young. Spent 30 years in the LA area and now lives in Wisconsin, where he's coming to us by the magic, as I said, of technology. He's videoing this while we're doing our little conference from his studio in Wisconsin. So Steve, it's good to have you here on the video, and we're very much looking forward to having you here this Saturday on the 17th to join us and sing.
Thank you, David. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it also. This is my first time performing with you and the New Bedford Symphony. I think this is going to be a terrific show. Really looking forward to spending time in the area. I've done a little bit of performing in Boston, but of course never with your symphony orchestra, and I think it's going to be a fabulous show. Thank you.
Okay, Steve, I couldn't help but notice that you have 2 last names. And I've mentioned to everyone that you're the son of Mel and the stepson of Hal. And how were the holidays for you? I mean, did you wind up going back and forth between the 2 families, or exactly how did things work for you?
Yeah, March Torme. Well, it was very interesting, being between the 2 families. My real father, Mel Torme, lived in Coldwater Canyon in Beverly Hills, and my family that was with my stepfather, Hal March, we also lived in Beverly Hills down on Roxbury Drive, which is what they call the Flats. So every Christmas Eve, we would go to my real dad's house, and we would all gather around and have a nice feast and open up presents, and Dad would inevitably sit down and play some Christmas carols for us. Never asked me to sing with him. I never really understood that. But we had a great time, and then the next day, I would spend Christmas Day with my stepfather and my other side of the family. I have 7 brothers and sisters, and we always celebrated Christmas. I lived in Scarsdale, New York for a number of years as a kid, and it was almost an idyllic kind of Christmas town. I mean, at wintertime, it was absolutely beautiful. It looked like a little village that you would find somewhere in Europe. And I always had a great time for Christmas. It was a great family time. And for me now, since I have 2 little girls at home, I'm reliving it again through my 2 little girls.
Now, Steve, I know your dad obviously performed all over the place, and he worked with symphony orchestras. And now, are the arrangements that you're going to be using when we work together, are these going to be the same arrangements that your dad did, or are these going to be different?
And another good question. It would have been pretty easy just to take my dad's arrangements, because he did a number of holiday shows with symphony orchestras. I know he worked with Cincinnati. I know he worked with the Boston Pops. And I could have taken his orchestral arrangements and just done that show, but I really wanted to leave my mark on this. And one of the things I'm looking so forward to is the fact that my arranger and my very good friend and my accompanist on stage, Steve Rollins, came to my home in Appleton, Wisconsin about 1.5 years ago, and we kind of made the decision, I don't care how long it takes, you stay in my home. As long as it takes for us to write these arrangements, we're going to come up with our own holiday show. So all the arrangements that everyone's going to hear in the show are original. They were written by myself and Steve Rollins. He did all the grunt work, all the tough stuff. I just basically sat there and said, what if we did this? Maybe we take the bridge here, we modulate. But he did all the hard work, and he's a terrific musician, and I think people are going to absolutely love the arrangements. There is one Mel Torme arrangement in there. It's of a song called It Happened in Sun Valley, and I think it'll be pretty obvious to be able to tell the difference between our arrangements and Dad's. And Dad's arrangement is very hip, like everything he did. It's a great orchestral arrangement.
And Steve, I was really intrigued by the story that you shared with me about the Christmas song. I mean, it's the centerpiece of any holiday concert. You just can't do it without chestnuts roasting on an open fire. And it was interesting to note that according to ASCAP, the American Society of Composers, Arrangers, and Publishers, that this song is the #1 performed song of the holiday season. So what's the story? Tell our audience what the story is behind the Christmas song.
There is a story about that song. In 1945, my dad was working with a guy named Bob Wells, his writing partner, and they had a writing session scheduled for the middle of summer. I think it was like July 10th, and it was one of the hottest days on record in Los Angeles. And Bob lived out in the San Fernando Valley, which is hotter than L.A. proper and hotter than the West Side. It's usually about 10 degrees hotter. And he went out there at 10 in the morning to do a writing session. It was about 110 degrees. And he knocked on Bob's door, and it was open, and he came inside the house, and he could hear Bob was in the shower trying to cool off at 10 in the morning. And my dad went over to the piano and saw a 3x5-inch index card with 4 lines of lyrics on it. And he took a look at him, and Bob came out, and my dad kind of recited the lyrics and said, I think we got a song here. It took them about 45 minutes to write it. And they finished writing it, and they went over to see Nat King Cole's manager and present it to Nat King Cole. And the manager said, I don't want to hear this. It's broiling outside. I don't want to hear a Christmas song. Get out. And apparently Nat got wind of it and said, no, I want to hear this. And the rest is obviously musical history. I mean, for everybody who knows that my dad wrote the Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire, many of them think that he had the big hit record with it, and he has recorded it a number of times. But I think the record that everybody really remembers is Nat King Cole's version, which is the most popular.
Wow. Written in the desert at 110 degrees. So, Steve, we are really, really looking forward to having you here now just in a couple of days. So thanks for taking the time to talk with us, and I hope you have a good trip, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you, David. Nice talking to you. I will see you in a couple of days, and I urge everybody to come out and see the show. I think it's going to be an absolutely great holiday symphony show. I'm looking forward to performing with you and the orchestra. Thank you.